Finest network for the strong, not the weak.
Yo, this Big Illinois 73, host of the Backyard Podcast, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Built for This network. Check us out. Hosted by yours truly, with my panel, my fam. We got the sister Kim Webb, the brother Dre MC1, the brother Anuliel, and the brother H-Rap B. No topic is off limit. We laugh and joke. We get serious. Try to be informative. Check us out. Once again, that's the Backyard Podcast, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Let's go.
I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel.
Black Native Americans have been all but ignored in this country. We have been written out of the history books, and it is as if we never existed in the first place. The truth is, this country was filled with many all-black so-called Indian Native American tribes. This country was filled with so-called black Indians, true Native Americans. One area of note is California. The true history of California blacks is a powerful story, one that should be studied and remembered. I urge you to please do your research, and you will be surprised by the majestic history of our people here in this country.
They were California blacks, or Califians, also referred to as Califians, spelt with a KH. The California blacks were one of the largest and oldest native nations in the Americas. They were the people Europeans originally referred to as the Red Man.
One account of what it was really like in California comes from the writing of historian Robert Beverly from the 1700s. He writes, "Far and away the most beautiful city on earth, 5 times the size of London or Rome. Great towers and buildings rising from the water. 60,000 gleaming houses. How spacious and well built they were, of beautiful stonework and cedar wood and wood of other sweet scented trees. Many streets and boulevards were so neat and well swept despite the multitude of inhabitants, crisscrossed with a complete network of channels like an enormous Venice, but also remarkable floating gardens that remain from nowhere else on earth." So you see, black Native Americans not only lived here, but we thrived here. And we thrived for thousands of years before Columbus. As a matter of fact, blacks were in this country even before the birth of the Savior, before Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach.
California Native American identity. The original indigenous inhabitants of California were the descendants of West Africa, South America's Olmeca Zai Empire. 1500 to 400 BCE, Egypt, Asia, and the Pacific Islands, creating a mixed cultural nation that thrived for thousands of years in peace.
The following is what an exhibition of European explorers actually found upon their arrival in North America. There were huge aqueducts transported America's water from fresh springs. But what impressed most were special merchant areas filled with timber and tile and other building materials being bought and sold. There were green grocers, streets where everyone could buy every sort of vegetable, fruit, honey, and chocolate. Astonished by personal cleanliness and hygiene of the colorfully dressed people and by their extravagant use of soaps, deodorant, and breath sweeteners. According to Beverly, there were nations that were scientifically advanced. They were highly civilized populations with an abundance of gold and wealth whose history spanned thousands of years. Ancient America was notably one of the most advanced civilizations in antiquity. This was before Christ, before the Spaniards, before Mexicans, before the Clovis people who crossed the Bering Straits, before what is now known as the Native American Indian or Euro conversions. No European who had tasted the life of Indians can afterwards not bear to live in any other society. Benjamin Franklin. Franklin also wrote, "There is no force in Indian societies, no prisons, no officers to inflict punishment." Benjamin Franklin. You see, we weren't all brought on ships called Jesus, Liberty, Grace, Justice, or Mercy. Our ancestors were already here, natives to this land, long before Columbus.
Gigantic stone heads in central Mexico. The Olmec civilization was the first significant civilization in Mesoamerica deemed mother culture of Mexico by some historians. This civilization, dominated by Africans, is best known for the colossal carved heads in central Mexico that served as even more evidence that Africans sailed to the New World before Columbus. The heads are clearly crafted in the likeness of Africans. The same civilization that created these giant heads was also responsible for introducing written language, arts, sophisticated astronomy, and mathematics to a Mesoamerican civilization, ancient African historian Professor Ivan van Sertima explained.
We do want to point out that there is evidence of other races in the Americas prior to the arrival of Columbus. There were Asians, Pacific Islanders, and there's even evidence of Europeans before Columbus. But the landscape was definitely dominated by the black people, the black Native Americans. Many black people in this country have been told that we have so-called Indian blood. I know that I have. And many, many others have the same experience. Well, chances are it's the truth. When you look at the characteristics that many of us have with the high cheekbones, etc., there's a good possibility that more than we know that we are Native Americans. While we know that many of our ancestors did come in on slave ships, however, we know that there is proof that millions upon millions of our ancestors were here before Columbus, before the transatlantic slave trade. So yes, folks, there is overwhelming evidence that suggests that the first Americans were actually black people. There is archaeological evidence, there's written evidence, and there's oral evidence. which proves that black people are the first Americans. The Black Excellence and Abundance Channel, where black history is every day.
Thanks for watching. As always, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, thou art rich.
Yo, this is Big Illinois 73. I want you to tune in to the Backyard Podcast Music Sessions, Friday nights, 10 p.m. Central Time, on the Built for This network, on the Spreaker.com. Check us out. Hit the like button, subscribe. Peace.
So real.
It is real. It is real. It is real. It is real. It is real.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's your man H-Rap coming at you live and direct as I do. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, depending upon what time you're listening to this. That's the greeting that is appropriate. This is Build and Destroy, the End of the Bench, Build and Destroy. I'm here because it's time to start, as you just heard, it's time to start destroying rumors and innuendo about our future and our significance in the world. It's about building up the community and destroying the lies and propaganda that come along with being a part of our community. So what I do is I host a podcast every week. And I do say a podcast because for whatever reason, people continue to call me and say, yo, I missed your show, which is pretty much impossible. If you still are breathing, you can't miss it. So I find it necessary to discuss things about our history, how to enhance our future, and how to make our present purpose whole. So what I do is every Saturday is come on air, give you information that I think is useful, handy, and empowering at the end of the day. Empowering is the most important portion. And with that being said, let me get on with today. Now, as you know, I start each and every one of my podcasts off by acknowledging my ancestors. The reason I do that is because if you acknowledge the people that have brought you to this point, if they've transitioned to ancestral beings, they will protect you. If they're still here, you're acknowledging your current family members and you're able to move on and empower yourself. So everybody that is a part of my family or touched my life, I acknowledge them. That is the Whitmore, Pollard, Turner, Battle, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Chris, Lansdowne, Liggins, Duncan, and me, my mother, my brothers, my sisters, my aunts, uncles, cousins, my father. We are part of the Williams clan. We are always in the building. Now, today's show is almost a self-defense mechanism. You know what I mean? We are in the midst of a strange time in the United States of America. And the reason I say it's a strange time is because ignorance is at an all-time high. People don't care about saying any and everything, the first thing that comes to mind. and nobody is being held accountable. You can blatantly lie on television, and you will have the foolish masses repeat those lies, defend those lies, and even attack people for those lies. And this makes life dangerous for people that look like me and you and others. So I feel it's time for me to come up and say, hey, let's eliminate all this madness. Pick a side, because only thing is in the middle of the road is lions and dead animals. It may sound funny, but that's the truth. If you are in the middle of the road about being right or wrong, you're no good to anyone that you talk to. And that's dead on. That's me being as honest as possible. A lot of people, oh well, you know, I don't have a decision. Yes, you do. You can pretend that you don't have a decision. You can pretend that you don't understand what's going on. You can pretend a lot of things. But you cannot run from the truth. And the truth is about being righteous. This isn't about, hey man, this is my team, that's your team. The truth is about being righteous. And in the United States of America today, a lot of people are not righteous. Tons of people are not righteous. We can draw these fake color lines that white supremacists and others have created. You know, you're from Europe, I'm from Africa. We could do that, but it's not gonna get you anywhere. We can do the hate thing. That's not gonna get you anywhere either. Let's just go with right and wrong, fact or fiction, truth or lie. That's it. That's all we can do. And if you are in a situation to whereas you are confused about these issues, then that's when you really have a problem. Because, you know, I'm gonna get biblical for a second. You've heard about things in the Bible for years and years and years, and you hear the information. God said the truth will always be there, the truth will set you free, and that type of thing. A lot of people assume that is talking about the Word of God and being a Christian and things of that nature. That's not the case, in my opinion. The truth is what he's speaking about. It is the actual thing he says. The truth is going to be there. The information will be there. So if you have access to everybody on earth via social media and you still choose to be against what's right, that is what's holding you captive. Ignorance is holding you captive. And in my opinion, that's what the scripture truly means. Now, I could be wrong, man. I'm not a theologian. But it's just certain things in life that your spirit will lead you towards. And I believe the truth is that. You don't have to be anything or be part of any group or anything of that nature to understand what's right and what's wrong. You have organizations being created every day. You have organizations from the past, and they're supporting people who are telling bold-faced lies, creating falsehoods, and pitting brother against brother at the end of the day. If you want to divide this between Democrats and Republicans, go right ahead. But I'm dividing this between people who are right and people who are wrong. And you can do it any way you like. If you want to, oh man, I'm right, and this, that, and the third, and this is how I'm getting down, man, knock yourself out, man. But at the end of the day, we live in a country that almost feasts off ignorance and propaganda. And when you living like that, you're always going to have a problem. You will have people who you cannot trust. You'll have people who live for deception. And you will also have people who are attempting to get things right and push you in the right direction. And that's all you're going to be living on. Now, it's up to you to decide what's right for me, what's wrong for me, what's going to help me, what's going to destroy me, and anything else that comes along with that. Those are your options. A lot of people don't want to live with those facts, but those are the unadulterated facts. Let's start with this election. This election happened, almost 2 weeks ago? And people spoke about what they wanted to know. Who they wanted to represent them. And now you have a president who's acting as if he's a petulant child. And he's spewing lies and propaganda in order to stay in power, because it may be consequences that comes along with him releasing that power. You can support him if you like, or you can not. You don't have to hate him. You can just look at him for what he is. Shout out to Karen Hunter, and that would be a carnival barker. The man is like one of the Ringling brothers, or what's the cat name that said it's a sucker born every minute? P.T. Barnum is the guy. If you want to believe this dude, because let's just go through this just in 2020. We don't have to go back to 2019 and 2018 and 2016. Let's just deal with, this is a dude who was faced with what we perceive as a deadly virus. And this virus is going to be extremely dangerous. And it's going to kill a lot of people. He said, I lied about it. He stood in front of the United States of America, March, April, and May, saying this is a hoax. This isn't real. Nothing's going to happen to you. He knew back in February. He actually conducted an interview via recording with the guy who broke the story about Watergate. And he told my man, I know this is going to be dangerous. He literally stands in front of the world and says, bleach and ultraviolet light will get this away from you. Knowing that wouldn't help. He draws alliances, or at least won't condemn nationalists, white nationalists. He does everything that is contradictory to being positive. And then you get these dumbasses throughout the United States of America to support him. And they support him on the guise of, well, the other side lied too. But when people present that conversation to me, first of all, I'm done having that conversation with anybody. Because if you don't understand the concept of telling a bold-faced lie or working the system to get where you want to be, I don't really want to talk to you. I don't have faith in any party in the United States of America. If I start a party tomorrow, then I have faith in it. But up until and including that moment, everybody's a liar, because they've all proven themselves to be liars. Now, if you want to defend this thing and say, hey, well, this, that, and the third, and you want to come to my show and point out minuscule facts about nonsensical evidence, about nonsensical situations, I don't have any time for you. You can write as much as you can literally write a soliloquy in my chat room, and I'm going to ignore it. Because you're under the impression that I'm picking a side in regards to human beings. I'm picking a side that's right. You have people who sit around and pontificate on a regular basis because they done went down some YouTube rabbit hole, or they done read part of some book, or they done had a conversation with somebody who they assume is a little smarter than them. Therefore, what they do is see this what this guy said, and then they regurgitate those things without doing any research or in an attempt to be the smartest guy in the room. Well, you can stay in that room and be the smartest guy in that room, and that's cool. I'm not here for that. I'm here to let you know it's time to get your ass in gear. It's time to protect yourself. It's time to put yourself in the best possible position to survive. Because there is, at this point, I don't see winning in the near future. There is always an opportunity to win, but I do not see winning in the near future. The only way we will be able to win is if you galvanize the good people that you know, and then you and those people create pockets of independence. And when you create pockets of independence, you reach out to like-minded people, and then you create what will be a community. And when you create that community, you'll have a sustainable force, so you won't fall subject to the foolishness that goes on in the United States of America. You could put a color on it, you could put a party on it, you could do anything, because you know what? I will do one thing for you. I will put a dollar amount on it. Because at this point, you're living in the midst of capitalism. Capitalism is not about humanity. It's not about survival. It's about what the dude said. Michael, can't think of his name right now. Mike Douglas said in this movie called Wall Street, back in the late 80s. He who dies with the most toys wins. What they've done in the United States of America is put you in a position so you could chase things and not give a damn about people. I want that real nice car. I want that big giant house, and I'll sell you and your mama out to get it. And that's just where we living right now. Now, do you not deserve to have nice things? No, that's a falsehood. No. There's nothing wrong with having a big giant house. There's nothing wrong with having an extremely nice car and nice things. The problem comes is when you have those things at the expense of other people. And that's just it. If you can obtain those things while helping people along the way, that is the way. That is truly the way to go. But if you are going to get this big dumbass house and you got to kill somebody, you got to hurt somebody, you got to poison somebody, or you have to stand on their neck to get it, that's when you're wrong. See, people have created this falsehood that, hey man, you got to get yours and don't worry about other people. But nothing else on earth operates like that works perfectly. Even in the jungle, as the lions and the leopards and the other predatory animals exist, all the alligators don't eat all the fish. They eat what they need and then they move on. The lions or what have you. When you're looking at monkeys, they don't eat every banana in the tree. They eat what they need and leave the rest. As I was stating on the Couch Potatoes Thursday, you are looking at the situation to whereas when you study the history of man, the man always allows his combatant, because there are no enemies unless you're evil, his combatant to escape or continue to survive under his will. In America, we don't do that. 1492, people from Europe came over here to settle. It became a colonize. It became a colonial settler project, and they felt that they had to destroy the people that they ran in contact with at first in order to be comfortable. As you heard at the top of the show, you had people here for thousands of years previous to that, and other people come in previous to that, leave, exchange, and go back home or stay. But it was a settler class, a colonial class, a colonizing class that came about that felt destruction was the only way. And since that day, that's been the way. Well, I'm here to say that's no longer the way, or no longer has to be the way. If you assume that has to be the way, then you're part of the problem, not even be close to being part of the solution. You know, if you study humanity, there are far more things that are the same than are different. No matter where you're from and who you look like. So if you want to continue to propagate these lies, go right ahead. I'm not here. You know what? At one point in my life, I used to assume that I could change people's mind. You know what? I'm going to let you know, and then I'm going to show you your wrongs. Mission over. I'm done. I no longer have that mission. I no longer live that dream, because a made up mind is a mind that won't be changed. Now, you may change your mind and come over to my side, but you can't change grown people's mind. You can help them along the way. You can just live a good life. You might even be able to influence them and move forward, and then move forward with them. But you're not going to talk nobody into a changed mind. I'm living proof of that. I got a checkered past, so to speak. I did things a lot. I did a lot of things the very wrong way. I'm talking about when you supposed to go up, I went down. We supposed to go left, over, and right. And then at one point I just said, man, you know what? You're too smart to be like this. And I stopped. Nobody talked me into it. I just started to appreciate things that were around me more. And when I started appreciate things around me more, I started taking better care of. And that's just it. That's it. That's all. And that was the beginning and the end, and the beginning, middle, and the end of the story. When I look at this country, I look at the state of Georgia as a microcosm of what's going on. You got the state of Georgia, whereas people are saying the president's legacy is held in the balance. Well, people, that's a lie too. We got people like the sister Stacey Abrams. Shout out to the sister Stacey Abrams. Mad love to you. Stacey Abrams lost 2 years ago. Lost the governor's race to the current governor of the state of Georgia. Now, instead of sitting around saying, "Hey man, they cheated me," which most of us think the governor of Georgia cheated again. He was Secretary of State. How can you be in charge of an election and be a part of an election at the same time and expect to be fair? You should question me if I was in charge of an election and running for the same position. Me, and I consider myself an honest guy. You should look at me crazy. But either way, Sister Stacey Abrams lost. She could have tucked her legs between her tail, rode off into the future, to the sunset, got a job somewhere or position in somebody's cabinet, and like, hey, it is what it is. I'm out. But the Sister Stacey Abrams didn't do that. She galvanized her community and other communities throughout the South, over in Mississippi, over in Florida, up in South Carolina, in Tennessee, but especially in her home, in the state that she was living in, because she's from Mississippi, the state of Georgia. She said, you know what? Y'all, she used, to be honest with you, the same game plan that Barack Obama used. Because what people don't realize is this gerrymandering and voter suppression thing was going on during the Obama election. But that campaign, what they did was put boots on the ground and say, you know what? They're going to cheat us out of at least 1 million votes and end up being 5 million. But we're going to need 8 million extra people to go out there and vote. So when you cheat us out to 5, we still got a cushion of 3. And that's what the Sister Stacey Abrams did. See, enough of this complaining and belly aching and pissing and moaning about what's not happening. Oh, man, I'm a Jew. Oh, man, I'm a Buddhist. Oh, man, I'm a Christian, a Catholic, a Protestant, and so forth and so on. But it always comes back to what team you on. You on a righteous team? Or you on a team that's money grubbing, thieving, cannibalistic, or a warmonger? Actually, it was 800,000. But point proven. That was my man, Chief Rocker. He said she got over 400,000 people to vote. She registered over 800,000 people to vote. And this is what I'm saying. The same way Chief Rocker just assisted me on my show, we should be assisting each other at all times. At all times. We don't have to like each other. This is not a marriage. You're not going to be dating me. You're not going to be dating the dude next door. But guess what? You got some horrible paved streets on your block. Me and Chief Rocker could have just punched each other in the face yesterday. But when it's time to go to city council meeting, hey man, we need to get these streets fixed, rap. And me and Chief Rocker and the other people in our community need to go to the city council meeting. See, when you have a common goal, which is peace or peace of mind, you have to be able to let your guards down. Your personal issues need to be pushed to the side, and you need to work for the better goal. Because, let's just be honest, almost 99.9% of the people that will hear this podcast are not going to pack up and leave America. Don't even lie to yourself. You know you're not. Most of the people that's going to hear this, you ain't left your damn zip code regularly. So how you going to leave the country? So if you're going to live here, you need to put yourself and the people around you in the best possible position. Sister Stacey Abrams shows you the blueprint. It's a sister in St. Louis, Missouri, in that little town. I can't think of the name of what Brother Mike Brown was killed. All she was a protester. Now she's an elected official. There are thousands of people throughout the country that said, nah, we're not going to overthrow the government, but we're going to make this as safe as possible and as comfortable as possible for us. This is when it gets fucked up. And excuse my language. I said I wasn't going to do too much profanity. This is when it gets messed up. We, for whatever reason, fail to realize that we have enemies that walk the face of the earth. We refuse to identify that fact. We keep saying they ain't that bad. We can work together with them. It's gonna be okay. It's not. It's not going to be okay. There are not as many good people as you would love to assume, because you assume these things because you're comfortable. This is officially taking your medicine without the orange juice, folks. No more orange juice. No more orange juice, people. This straight dope right here. We got to start realizing there are 300 million people in the United States, 350 million people in the United States of America. A lot of people don't vote. A lot of people do. But here's the thing. 4 years ago today, everybody and their uncle and their mother was mad that Donald Trump was the president. Everybody and their uncle was mad that 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I can't believe it. They went out there with their pussy hats. Y'all remember that? Oh, we got the little pussy hats, little pink pussy hats, and we're against Donald Trump. To show you what I mean, that either you on the right side of this or you on the wrong side of this. The more people voted in this election than any time in the history of the United States of America. 71 million people voted against your interests. And white women doubled down and went from 53 to 55%. So while we sitting around saying, oh man, it ain't that bad, they said, yes it is. You are seeing this is a time in history that if this country's still here in 157 years, your great, 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 great grandfather, grandchildren will be saying this. Yeah, this was like Reconstruction right after slavery, because Reconstruction ended, introduced to the world to the Ku Klux Klan, and introduced the world to the Department of Justice. Rutherford B. Hayes. This is how you know history is just one big ass roller coaster that is repeating itself and repeating itself and repeating itself and repeating itself. It is not even a roller coaster, it's a Ferris wheel. Rutherford B. Hayes won the election to white nationalist groups then in the Ku Klux Klan. And guess what? It was a bunch of black people doing Reconstruction that won offices. Just like now. But the Klan came through in South Carolina and put them pistols on people, right? Hung, killed, and murdered people. And everybody said, this is horrible. How did this happen? And they cut a deal to end Reconstruction and let Rutherford B. Hayes be the president, and nobody went to jail for hanging and lynching towns of black folks in Columbia, South Carolina. Whole towns, whole subdivisions of black folks and elected officials, and nobody said anything. Here we are, 157 years later, or probably like 130 years later. Reconstruction only lasted 7 years. They tell you 10, but only lasted 7 years. 1877. Miss me with the nonsense. So nobody ever paid for that crime. Just like don't nobody pay for the crimes when the brothers and sisters get murdered today. Or like 100 years ago, didn't nobody pay for the crime in Tulsa. Nobody paid for the Red Summer. Please look up the Red Summer. The Red Summer. It's real. Nobody paying for these crimes. So when you tell me, oh man, it's this and it's that, it's not that. What it is you getting the shaft and don't nobody care. Because you know what? Self-preservation is the first law of nature. And if the Klan ain't riding down killing me, I talk the talk, but I ain't gonna walk the walk. And that's just what it is. So when you have the mentality of the quote prodigy from Mobb Deep, it's a war going on outside. Nobody's safe. That's when you create that bunker mentality. That's when you circle the wagons, and that's when you get ready to fight. And I'm meaning metaphorically, because you cannot sit in the land where you're dependent on the water and electricity from the government and fight them. But what you can do is recede. Like the senator in the state of Mississippi, or state representative from the state of Mississippi, said, we need to rescind from the union. Then he realized, oh damn, we the poorest, least educated state in the union. My bad, I was just playing. Because you got states like California, you got states like New York, you got states like Florida and other money earning states that are financing Kentucky and Mississippi. You see what I'm saying? The tax money that are paid by the people of New York is the reason Mississippi ain't one big ass junkyard. So once you realize, oh damn, I'm sorry, I was just right. And that's the problem. Everybody else realizes that this is a fight, but my folks don't think it's a fight. My folks think it's an argument. What my folks need to realize is, at the end of that war in 1865, after they gave the brothers the gun 6 months before that, and then we emancipated ourselves, not Abraham Lincoln emancipated us because he set money to the side to give the people that they call slave owners reparations, $300 per man, and he set money to the side to send our black asses back overseas. So don't believe no more lies about how Abraham Lincoln was the boy he looked out. No, he looked out for his own best interests. Period. But That war didn't end. That was the battle that was lost in these folks' mind. Another thing, I sent this to Rocka and a couple other friends and the homies. Do me a favor. Since you think the war's over, do me a favor. Look up the Confederate flag. What you think is the Confederate flag is the battle flag. The real Confederate flag it looks a whole lot like the state of Georgia's flag. But you got allies, right? No permanent allies, just common interests. So while everybody's thinking, oh, Donald Trump is acting a fool about getting reelected. No, what Donald Trump is doing is working his number so Mitch McConnell could potentially stay, in hopes that Mitch McConnell will potentially stay in power at the U.S. Senate, and then he's going to strip women of all their damn rights. He's going to resegregate the schools. He's going to reverse the 1964 and 65 Civil Rights Act and Naturalization Acts. And that's what the real plan is. So they can get your brown ass up under their boot again. See, shout out to my man Malcolm Mayat. We were talking, and he said, you know what, man, follow the money and you'll see what's going on. Wherever the money go to, that's what. Now you got Planned Parenthood on Charlemagne the God and those guys show. And we don't just do abortions, we do this and do that. And See, it's always a back end get down, man. So while we watching Donald Trump, and shout out to my man RC who mentioned this million moron march that they had in DC. Hopefully, man, the LGBTQ community would have commandeered. I was hoping they would commandeer that. Not that I'm drawing allegiance with anybody like that, but what they did on Twitter, they call themselves the Proud Boys, and you know they call the LGBTQ community Pride. They took over the Proud Boys and made a gay pride, and they hate those folks. So I was hoping they would do that. God should have made it be about 80 degrees so they could have showed up in them booty shorts like they do at them pride parades and really screwed it up for the Make America Great goofballs. Make America goofy again. That's what it should stand for. But see, you have to be watching this stuff, man. We have to start engaging early. No more engaging, oh man, my son ain't old enough for that. You know, he ain't ready for that. No, he is ready for that. Your grandson, we need to start teaching our kids immediately when they come out. See, my generation dropped the ball, in my personal opinion. You can think whatever you want about you. I feel that my generation dropped the ball because we raised a group of kids who didn't realize the urgency and the real situation that was going on with our community. And we allowed them to be lax. We allowed them to go right into sleep. And what I mean by the sleep is this. Again, I'm a nerd, man. You know, I talk real cool and slick or whatever. I come from the hood. But at the end of the day, I'm what you would consider a history nerd. And I like to look into other cultures and find out things that could be beneficial to me. And hopefully I can share them with you guys. You can share them with your friends. And like that old AT&T commercial. I'm going to call two friends and we're going to call two friends. And hopefully we can educate each other and put ourselves in a better world and in a better place, right? What I noticed is it was this young man. I listened to this dude on YouTube the other day. And he was a brother who was adopted by this Jewish guy. And the Jewish guy raised him, right? And this Jewish family raised him. He was living in Beverly Hills. He fabulous, right? And he would come home and tell his Jewish father this. Yeah, I was at my friend Patah's house. I was at my friend Chief Rocka's house. I was at my friend DJ Knox's house. Just so happens Chief Rocka, Patah, and Knox are white, and he's black. And his Jewish father would consistently ask him, would they hide you? And he said it used to annoy him to no end. Like, what are you talking about? Enough with that. These are my friends. We didn't instill. You see how that Jewish man understood the tyranny of the people that surround you, and how you can be subjected to terror and all kinds of nonsensical foolishness for no reason at all. We didn't arm our kids with that, because he said when he finally came to realize what his father was talking about was, you are black. They're your friends as long as it's safe. To quote the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you don't test a man in his comfort. You watch a man in his comfort. You don't need to. Watch him when it's uncomfortable, because when he's uncomfortable, that's when the real man gonna show up. And that's what that man's father was trying to teach him. They're your friends because it's safe right now to be your friend. There's no problem with being your friend, but will he be your friend when the shit hits the fan? Is he gonna be your friend then? And that's what we did not arm our children with in this community in the United States of America. If you gonna make a friend, make sure that friend got your back. Under no circumstances is he supposed to cut and run and turn and break wild. None of that. If one would get whooped, we got to get whooped together. And if those are not your friends, then it is what it is. Throughout the United States of America, since Memorial Day, the day before Memorial Day, actually, when we saw the brother Big George get murdered, when we saw Big George Floyd get lynched, we have seen literally millions of people throughout the world say, we got your back, we got your back, we got your back, we got your back. In Southern Illinois, one of the most racist parts of my state, there was a Black Lives Matter march going on with no black people there. Wow, rap, you gotta respect that. I respect it if these Proud Boys start acting fool and they up their pistols and start protecting my brothers and sisters. Up until and including that moment, thanks, we cool up until we're not. And that's the mentality the folks in my community needs to start having. We're cool until we're not. Because if you're not willing to hide me or throw me a gun or fight back to back with me, I don't need nobody to hold my coat while I get my behind kicked. No, sir. I don't need that. And with that being said, I got a break coming. Little information I want to drop on you. And then I'll be back after that information. And I'll continue with the show. Thank you for tuning in to Built for This Network. This is H-Rap B. Holla at your boy in 3 minutes.
Josiah Henson, a.k.a. Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was born June 15, 1789 in Charles County, Maryland. He was separated from his parents when he was a kid after his father got disciplined for standing up to a slave owner. His father received 100 lashes and got his right ear cut off. One day, at the age of 9, Josiah was caught reading a grammar book by a slave master, Mr. Riley. Mr. Riley beat him so bad, his eyes were swollen and he became unconscious. As he grew older, he became the overseer of the plantation. Josiah was able to work and stack up some money so he can purchase his freedom. But Mr. Riley cheated him out of his money. So after that, he escaped to Canada. And that's where he gave his story. In 1852, author Harriet Beecher Stowe released a powerful fictional book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. Fictional, but it was also based on Josiah's life. This book was so powerful that if you were caught reading it, selling it or buying it, you would be arrested. Not only could you be arrested, but you could also be sentenced to death. Inside of the book Uncle Tom's Cabin, you will learn about two characters. One, Uncle Tom, and the other, Sambo. Uncle Tom was a good dude. He never snitched. He never beat anybody. And he was the guy, if your sack was empty or your sack was low, he would take cotton out of his sack and put it into yours, just so you wouldn't get beat. Because he was so looked up to, he was so loved, and he was the man holding everything down, they had to put another slave in charge of him, and that slave was Sambo. Sambo's orders was to beat Uncle Tom every night, all the way up until his death. Uncle Tom was beat to death in the fictional book for not giving up the whereabouts of two women slaves that escaped. So let's change that narrative on Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a good dude. Sambo is what we should be calling people, not Uncle Tom. You should be proud to be called an Uncle Tom. That name came from the white slave owners who viewed him as a traitor. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe.
This ain't Shrap. I'm back. This is Built for This Network. This is Build and Destroy. And it's time for the wrap up, man. I'm not finna end the show right now. I'm just saying, this is the home stretch. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for, if you haven't, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to Built for This Network. Please to share this on your social media. Tell a friend, give it to a friend, tell a friend, and tell a friend to tune in to Built for This Network. Please and thank you. Now, as we were just talking about, we have to put ourselves in a better position in life. We have to be in a better station in life. The reason we must be in a better station in life is this. In order to make this thing work for us and not work for everybody else like it's been doing, what you have to do is get involved. Because again, most of us ain't packing up, man. Now, I'm one of these dudes who always woofing and huffing and puffing. Man, Shell, if I ever hit this money, man, we get the fuck up out of here. But you know what, man? My black ass might not leave either, man. It sound good, broke as fuck, you know, with a couple extra coins in my bank account. Because I got a comma in my bank account, it sound good. But if I had two in there, would I leave? See, it sound good, man. So I'm not going to excoriate or judge anybody or put anybody in some type, you know, got folks thinking some type of way about folks. Oh man, we need to go back to Africa. Oh, fuck, you ain't even ready to go to the suburbs. So I ain't trying to do that right now. You know what I'm saying? Let's deal with the monster that we dealing with, man. I want to attack the brothers that's out here and the sisters and I'm gonna call them the YouTubers. Shout out to Combat Jack, the internets that you ain't touched the book since Ned and the First Reader. If you don't know what Ned and the First Reader, run, Ned, run. See Ned, run. That's the last time you touched the book, man. That's the last time you watched something that was enhancing you. Next time, if you want to go down YouTube or rabbit hole, it's a book that's on YouTube. You ain't even got to read it, son. You ain't even got to read it. Go to YouTube after this show, or even now, you come back to me. You could shift gears and read and listen to. Somebody else gonna read this to you. The Miseducation of the Negro. There you go. Carter G. Woodson. If you don't know who Carter G. Woodson is, walk to the bathroom and look at the person in the mirror and slap that person. Because Carter G. Woodson is the reason a lot of y'all sit y'all black behinds around. Why is Black History in February? They gave us the shortest month. No, dumbass. That's Frederick Douglass's birthday month. That's why it was Black History Week, and in the late 60s, early 70s, they expanded it to Black History Month. Stop thinking somebody gave you something. We took February because Frederick Douglass was a brother who stood up for people that looked like me and you and said, it's time. Enough of the foolishness. So Carter G. Woodson looked at the ancestors and said, bam, we're going to celebrate our history on this week and then expand it to the month. So the next time some doofus stands up to you, man, yeah, bro, well, it could be in July. Well, if it could be in June. Because your dumb ass don't celebrate Juneteenth up until 2020. You 3 days older than baseball. But that's neither here nor there. The brothers who live here, who don't have no plans on doing nothing, you don't even want to start your own business. You don't want to do nothing but stand around and complain. First of all, move away from those sisters and brothers. They will destroy each other. Those are the people, those are the 10 or 12% of the people in the population that's all they do is smoke, drink, listen to that dumbass mumble rap, and commit crimes. Because it's really on, you can look it up, FBI.com, it's only 10% of the population that's crooked. That's a fact. That's not propaganda. It's only 10% of the people, even less than that of the people in our community that's committing crimes. So when they tell you black on black crime, lie, falsehood, propaganda, because crime is a proximity situation and you ain't about to go in Eastern Georgia and rob nobody. And you're not finna go to North Baltimore and rob nobody. You're not finna go to Manhattan and rob nobody when you living in the Bronx or you living in Harlem or you living in Brooklyn. Well, hell, Brooklyn, you don't want to rob nobody in Brooklyn these days because it's gentrified. But y'all know what I mean. You rob. Crime is about getting away. You don't travel across town to rob people. You don't get into arguments that result in violence with for the most part with strangers. So again, it's only 10%, maybe less, of the criminal element in every community in the United States of America. But for whatever reason, the news entertainment networks over-index on our community. You know everything that happened in our community, but some of the biggest gangs in America, some of the most notorious situations in America are not in our communities. And there you go. There you always see us. Seeing how you're not about to pack up and leave. How about this? Man, my vote don't count. That vote stuff is some trash. You wasting your time. You know, everybody knows that person, man or woman. Okay. Do you know Congressman DeSantis in the state of Florida? Probably not. Congressman DeSantis is attempting, I think he's a senator. He's attempting to expand the stand your ground law in the state of Florida. Again, excuse my language. The people in Florida batshit crazy. So if you listening in Florida, you need to be paying attention. The Santos want to add rowdy behavior, stopping a business from conducting traditional business, protests, and rallies to the stand your ground rule, which means if you hurt somebody in our community, he's the governor of Florida. Thank you. Shout out to RC. Again, see? Community helping community. Yeah, that's right, because Andrew Gilliam was running against him. Oh, shout out to RC, man. Big ups to RC. Yep. Hell yeah. See how community works, y'all? You see how community works? Governor DeSantis wants to expand the stand your ground law. So basically, anything your black ass do, I can shoot you. You already shooting people over parking spaces, shooting people over iced teas and Skittles, and all other kinds of madness that's going on down there. Now, if you are unruly Negro, we want to shoot you. But if you elected Andrew Gilliam, you wouldn't be facing this because your vote don't count. That vote stuff is trash. Or how about this? It's a judge in the state of Kentucky. There's a brother. I ain't gonna call him guilty or not guilty, whatever. He's sitting there in court. The black judge look over at the jury pool, knowing that it's more than 4% of the community in that town, in that state is black. He said, nah, we gonna redo this jury pool. This is not representative of the community. You're supposed to be judged by a jury of your peers, and ain't but one black person here. And he threw it out, and he made them go get more black people to put in the jury pool. And he did it again, and now white folks is down there in Kentucky. We already know Kentucky ain't worth two dead flies smushed together. They fighting them on it though. But guess what? One of the people on the Supreme Court is a sister. And she like, yeah, it need to be at least 14 to 20% of the people of the jury that look like him. See, this is when that voting thing works in your favor. I mean, I don't want to go to jury duty. But guess what? If you go to jury duty, oh man, they gonna find him guilty. Maybe not if you sitting there. Hey, you see them sisters in 1994 let the Jews walk. And we don't know if Jews did it or not, but if y'all can let police go with a video in LA of beating the hell out of Rodney King, oh man, it's nothing. That's how it goes. A month ago, if y'all could let a police officer go for shooting that white boy laying on the damn floor in the hotel room, shot him dead, and they let him go, then you can let some brothers go. I'm not saying let no rapists and pedophiles go, but hell, if we let people go, we might as well get in the let go line. And see, you can take over some of these states and create laws like that anti-lynching bill that Black Hands Mr. McConnell don't want to pass. If you so-called Democrats and brothers and sisters in the state of Kentucky, 48% of the state is a registered Democrat, but Mitch McConnell, and then it still breaks down after that, Tea Party and other parties. Mitch McConnell's getting reelected. What's the boy name? Damien, whatever his name is. The state's attorney gets elected. You cooking the soup that your ass gonna be in. But we ain't worried about that. Oh man, it ain't gonna work. Yeah, it ain't gonna work until it don't work in your favor. See, I'm not foolish enough to believe that we're gonna vote our way into freedom. Just listen to H-Rap and we're gonna be free. Mr. Charlie, we're coming to get you. No, I'm not dumb enough to believe that. But I'm smart enough to understand if we work the system the way it's supposed to be worked, we can get some breathing room. When you get some breathing room, you can get some capital going. Get some capital going, you can open up your own business. You open up your own business, you can galvanize your community, start making that dollar bounce, 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 bounce. You can support people who look like you. And when you support people who look like you create a community that looks like you, and then bam, you safe. Because you're not going to be safe. You're not going to be safe. You got people in this country from other communities vote, and your dumbass community now voting against their own interests. See, like this girl I know from high school, I voted Democrat for my whole life, and I didn't get nothing. And Donald Trump don't make me rich. If you don't set your stupid ass down. She tried to convince me of some of the stupidest. I'm sending her videos of her man saying this stuff. And again, man, whether you Donald Trump, whether you Joe Biden, the Dutter man, I ain't your friend and you ain't mine. This is about who you think you can influence, like the great sister the elder Angela Davis said, who do you think you can impose your will upon? The greatest. You're definitely not going to do this line, motherfucker. Because you got my man Ice Cube running around here. Oh, he promised me $500 million. You mean the dude who promised you $500 million, the same dude that won't force Congress to release unemployment money to your brothers and sisters? Like, Ice Cube, I know you got some broke ass cousins. You made it. All the Cubes didn't make it. All the Jacksons ain't rich because you rich. Just like all the Murphys and all the damn Wayans ain't rich. There's still some Wayans living in the project somewhere or in the hood somewhere. But a lot of them rich. But that don't make everybody rich. So you believe in a dude who just lied, who literally lied and told you to drink bleach. He told you ultraviolet lightning when he called it like, oh, well, I was just playing. That is the ultimate damn liar response. I just playing. But hey, man, shout out to Ice Cube. He tried, remember? Don't forget, y'all. Ice Cube tried. You can't knock him for trying, H-Rap. Yep, go ahead. Like I said, I'm going to go play the Powerball on the way to dinner tonight. And when I win, everybody in the chat room get $1 million. And if I don't win, I tried. You could have been out of poverty if I'd have won, but I tried. Something else, man. The Ice Cubes of the world, the Kanye West of the world, and all these people, the Lil Waynes of the world, and these movie stars, and stop supporting people who ain't got your best interest in mind. I don't know if Ice Cube, look, I'm the first person to tell you. If Ice Cube plan goes into effect and he gets Harris and Biden to do what he wants them to do, salute the Ice Cube, man, rap. What you got to say now? I'm going to say, I should go ahead and be quiet because Cube did it. But if you're not strategic, you're wasting your time. You cannot go up there as a finger representing the fist or the hand. It's too easy to break. That's why people turned on you, because you didn't go up there. You could have, like, hey, I remember when Def Stimpy first came out. You was hanging out with Chuck D, probably listening to Griff. You were quoting Minister Farrakhan. When you and Common got into beef, it was one dude reached out to you and said, let me holler at you and squash the beef. That was Minister Farrakhan. So before you go up there and talk to your boy, why don't you go on up there and talk to Minister Farrakhan? Why don't you talk to Dr. Claude Anderson? Or go bring him with you. See, these are the things that I'm talking about. These are the things that I'm talking about. Why are we not doing these things together? You can be the superstar and then you get ridiculed and get angry and give up, or you can work together and get something accomplished in Los Angeles. And Kanye, you could be here in Chicago working together with people and get things fixed in Chicago. And Diddy, you could do it in New York. And other people can galvanize the communities throughout the nation and do it that way. But y'all don't want to do that because it seems that y'all don't want to help the community. Y'all want to go down in history as the dude who saved the community. And guess what? Usually the dude that try to save the community alone or together in America end up with a bullet in his head. So, why don't you just work with the folks that's around you and improve the environment around you? Why don't you get in contact with the brother Wendell Pierce, Ice Cube? Why don't you get in contact with that sister out there in Compton who owns her own grocery store, between 27 and 32 years old? Help her franchise throughout South Central, Watts, LA, Carson. Help her franchise. And then the brothers in that area shopping with her. And you. And Snoop and Dre. You see what I'm saying? And then y'all get it all up through the coast. And she could be hiring people. Then y'all could develop some of those dilapidated places. See, Why are we going to the government when we just need them for legislative purposes? We don't need them for financial purposes. Because if we just start supporting each other, just imagine, man, if we follow the Bill Cosby plan. 1% of the community supports HRAP, which means 400,000 people will be supporting HRAP, which means, bam, HRAP and Built for This network is on fire. Now we giving you the news. So when the next Ice Cube album come out, we telling everybody who support Built for This network, go download or play for the next week every day. Play the Ice Cube album. Now you got 500,000 spins a day. Now you got the #1 record on iTunes, on Spotify, on Tidal. Now the money flowing through you, and now you can give back, or you can just sit back on it because you did what you supposed to do. So we doing what we supposed to do to support you. And then we put people like the brother who Representative Rosa Baca, and up in Jersey, Stacey Abrams, Keisha Lance Bottoms, Jamie Harrison, and other good people in play, so they can funnel some of that money to us that other people getting, and then we can be a successful community again. That's all we got to do, y'all. See, it's checkers, not checks. Because these people who are diametrically opposed to you, they playing chess. And their goal is to hurt you. You know what's funny? When you say Crip, Blood, GD, Vice Lord, Chicago, LA, you think gangbang and violence. Look how wildly violent those people are. They are destructive to the community. When have you seen anything about the Proud Boys on TV? The Ku Klux Klan, the skinheads, the lynching of those two brothers earlier this year, hanging from a tree in 2020. When have you seen that on TV? Because that is entertainment news. They're making other people feel comfortable and turning them against you. It is what it is, man. If you don't start mounting up and look up this book by Brother Cobb, that nonviolent stuff will get you shot, or look up this sister, I can't think of it, she's an African sister, We Shoot Back, and read books like that, and other books that I continue to give you to read, and enhance your mind, building pride within you, yourself, your family, your man, your woman, your cousin, your friends, your neighbors. You will disappear, black man, black woman, Knights of Columbus. All that's nonsense, man. See, but you know about, look at that. The brother J. Ron is in a whole nother country, and he know about supremacist groups. And speaking about that, the average person don't even know about the Knights of Columbus. And if you watch All in the Family, your man Archie Bunker was trying to get in that claim. You did? See, it's in your face. You can't see the forest because the tree's in the way. I'm telling y'all, man, you better unite or you're going to disappear. You better get involved or get erased. You don't have to like the people in your community to work with them. You don't have to marry none. You don't have to live with them. You don't have to eat with them. But you have to coexist. And the only way you can coexist is to work together. Period. That's it. That's all. And with that being said, I'm gonna thank y'all for tuning in. I got another little piece that I'm gonna let ride out. Thank y'all for tuning in for Built for This network. Please continue to support. As I stated, please hit like and share. Please subscribe to Built for This network. Our rotation is growing on a weekly basis. Been a little change. You know, support the homie Raider tomorrow. The homie D-Grade is on hiatus, resting his mind, recharging his batteries, because he got things to do too. So Monday, the number one Chief Rocket Jersey, Vern, will be on Monday morning. Thank you, brother. Speaking of Chief Rocket, he said great subject. Thank you, brother. Check him out Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you know the appropriates. Brother gonna touch on a little bit of everything. Tuesday afternoon, the theory of the culture has been changed to Tuesday afternoon. Me and the homies for the End of the Bench Sports, Big Illinois and Joe, will be on in the evening. Later that evening, my girl Rep Beauty, she'll be on, and then even at night, late night, Mandelion and his wife Girly Girl will be on for Tasty Talk. Erotic poetry night is always fun. We laugh, we joke, we create relationships, as I'm asking you to do now. Deacon Dale will be on Wednesday afternoon. Well, actually Wednesday evening. Wednesday night, it'll be Big Illinois. Because again, no West Side Wednesday, because the homie D-Grade is recharging his batteries, man. Then you got Big Illinois. I'm a part of his crew, the Backyard. As Big Illinois says, no subject is off topic, no out of bounds. We having conversations, we laugh and we joke, and it's just like the backyard in your neighborhood. We family for real, and we talking about everything that goes on in a family and outside of family. Thursday, DJ Knox, Attack on Hip Hop, where he giving you everything that's involved in the culture musically. And me and D-Grade, we trying to decide. Well, D-Grade on hiatus, but he might pop in. We might do it. Don't expect it. If you see it, then come on in. The Couch Potatoes will be live and direct. We might just keep it light for the next 2 weeks instead of, like D-Grade said, man, we be hitting it so hard, it's damn near like going to school. So, man, don't really expect it this week. For the next 2 weeks, because y'all ain't trying to hit no damn Couch Potatoes on Thanksgiving either. So, for the next 2 weeks, yeah, no Couch Potatoes, man. And then Friday, DJ Mad Knox burning it down as usual. Then, late evening, while you blowing on your stogie, kissing on your old lady. Oh, if not, DJ Ricks will be on. Yes, sir. DJ Ricks, y'all. Y'all don't know nothing about DJ Ricks. Shout out to DJ Ricks, number one Chief Rock Jersey Brown. You know, he'll step up and do something. Check them out. We'll let y'all know. Y'all get notifications from us. Then, Saturday morning, the homie Deacon Dale and the sister Lisa, aka DJ Purplicious, Blues Club. I be flipping back and forth. I was flipping and bouncing. I was taking my aunt around today. I was flipping and bouncing, and then I had to stick on the blues because, you know, she the chief. And then me, man, 166 hours from now, man, 165 and a half hours from now, I'll be back. I got this young lady from DC on the show next week, Maya Gardner. She doing things to help the young ladies in DC. Again, man, hands across America. I know that ain't our thing, but that's what we doing right now, man. We working with each other. I'm half-ass working on another show. And it ain't gonna just be me hosting it. What it is I have about 5 interviews in the can. When I get about 8 to 12, then I'm gonna start doing this segment called Rapping with H Rapper. It might be on these days, on a Saturday, or it just might be another day. I don't know. Maybe we put it on after rock or go off or whatever. You know, I don't know when I'm gonna do it, but we're just trying to keep y'all informed, engaged. The Rapper with H-Rap thing is about having conversations with good people. No matter what you're dealing with in life, it's always good to hear the next person's story. And when you hear the next person's story, it makes life a little easier because then you know you ain't in this alone. So I don't know how I'm going to do that, man, but I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I will see y'all in 165 and a half hours. Salute to the legendary Combat Jack. As my man Ed Lover say, he overseeing this podcast. So I'm still in there, Ed Lover. Yeah, I'm still in there, bro. And Dream those dreams and man up a woman up and live those dreams. Because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in Technicolor surround sound. This built for this network. This H-Rap beat. Stay tuned. I got a little more knowledge for you. 2 fingers, 1 word. I'm H-Rap and I'm the hell out.
Former NBA player and wellness advocate Jarnell Stokes is the owner of Stokes Superfoods. Stokes Superfoods brings the purest form and highest quality products to those who want to turn the tables and take responsibility for their health. Educate people on the power of returning to nature and the holistic inner self. Our products cannot heal any disease alone, but we're here to assist in the healing process for both the mind and body. Stokes Superfoods are highly recommended. For more information, please click on the link in my description box below.
Today, there's a new epidemic. Smokable cocaine, otherwise known as crack. It is an explosively destructive and often lethal substance which is crushing its users. It is an uncontrolled fire. As we mobilize for this national crusade, I'm mindful that drugs are a constant temptation for millions. Please remember this when your courage is tested. You are Americans. You're the product of the freest society mankind has ever known. No one ever has the right to destroy your dreams and shatter your life.
In September of '86, with the media frenzy at full throttle, the House passed legislation that allocated $2 billion to the anti-drug crusade. $2 billion. They required the participation of the military in narcotics control efforts to allow the death penalty for some drug-related crimes and authorize admissions of illegally obtained evidence in drug raids. Later that month, the Senate proposed an even tougher anti-drug legislation, and shortly thereafter, the President signed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of '86.
The mammoth omnibus drug bill passed both houses of Congress with an overwhelming majority. Federal sentences for marijuana, heroin, and cocaine were unprecedented in their severity. Federal parole in most drug cases was eliminated. What began as alarm over the crack epidemic had mushroomed into a program requiring the incarceration of tens of thousands. Among the sweeping changes proposed was a new law mandating minimum sentences for federal drug convictions, eliminating a judge's discretion in pronouncing sentence.
Members in our subcommittee, the crime subcommittee, said, look, we want mandatory minimums. We want higher level penalties. And at the end of really this 3 or 4 week little period, suddenly this was literally on the table without a hearing, without any really preparation.
There was not a lot of study. There was a call for action in Congress. There was talk about, the way the normal legislative process runs. They do full-scale hearings and they bring experts in and they do an awful lot of investigation. Well, that didn't happen with crack cocaine in particular.
In record time, Congress rewrote virtually all the nation's drug laws. A get-tough crackdown unparalleled in drug war history. Measures included, from the crime subcommittee, the death penalty for major traffickers, life in prison for some repeat offenders, more severe federal penalties for simple possession. From the Armed Services Committee, for the first time, direct involvement of the U.S. military in interdiction. From the Committee on Merchant Marine and Fisheries, stiff penalties for drugs found on any American boat. From the Judiciary Committee, federal penalties for money laundering and a new asset forfeiture law that allowed federal police agencies to keep the property they seized. From the Agriculture Committee, the arming of forest rangers.
The new Anti-Drug Abuse Act authorized public housing authorities to evict any tenant who allows any form of drug-related criminal activities on or near public housing premises. This act also affected student loans and expanded the death penalty. Also included a 5-year mandatory minimum for simple possession of cocaine base with no evidence. They didn't have to have evidence to book you. Drug offenders face lifetime consequences for minor infractions. Yet the focus on tough sentences for crack and not powder cocaine meant that the people who were going to jail were black. The media seemed to play along, hyping up threats with racist coverage that largely ignored rampant cocaine use among whites. And it sensationalized the crack problem in inner city black communities.
The drug war became a national obsession.
There's an epidemic of the cocaine called crack.
It is epidemic and it can kill.
The crack problem has become a crack crisis and it's spreading nationwide.
This is Clements Avenue in Charleston, South Carolina.
Here in Bakersfield, city parks like this one have become favorite hangouts for drug dealers.
It's around Philadelphia's 8th and...
A few years after the war on drugs was declared, crack began to spread rapidly in poor communities of Los Angeles and then later emerged in cities across the country. The Reagan administration hired staff to publicize the emergence of crack cocaine in 1985. This right here was part of a strategic effort to build public and legislative support for the war. During the crack era, a study of urban black fathers found that 28% actually had access to an automobile. That rate fell to 18% of those living in the ghetto. And with all these fathers being locked up, they was arresting all these brothers. This destroyed the black family. Kids growing up without a father are 5 times more likely to be poor, twice as likely to drop out of school or end up in foster care or juvenile justice facilities. A man by the name of Gary Webb has exposed what really happened and why it happened during the crack era.
Men who were working for the CIA's army were responsible for bringing all that cocaine into Los Angeles that sparked the crack epidemic.
The CIA's army, Webb says, were the Contras, the anti-communist rebels fighting the government of Nicaragua back in the 1980s. An army founded and funded by the CIA.
Webb wrote that some Contra supporters smuggled cocaine to America to raise money for their cause.
The CIA has been bringing drugs into this country.
As then
Gary
CIA
Webb
Director
reported, in addition to waging a proxy war for the U.S. government against Nicaragua's revolutionary government in the 1980s, elements of the CIA backed Contra rebels who were involved in trafficking cocaine into the U.S. This was in order to fund their counter-revolutionary campaign. The secret flow of drugs and money, Webb reported, had a direct link to the subsequent explosion of crack cocaine, the abuse that devastated California's most vulnerable black neighborhoods. The transformation from community policing to military policing began in 1981. This was when President Reagan persuaded Congress to pass the Military Cooperation with Law Enforcement Act. This act encouraged the military to give local, state, and federal police access to military bases. Also, intelligence, weaponry, equipment, all for drug interdiction. Fast forward today, during this opioid crisis, Congress put out a statement saying that they want to focus more on the treatment instead of the incarceration. There's over 50,000 deaths per year, with the vast majority of those deaths being white people. They want to call this an epidemic or a crisis. And now there is no more war on drugs. And Congress spent millions of dollars on treatment facilities. But during the crack era, they locked everybody up and they left us for dead. You have brothers who are still locked up to this day from the 80s crack era. Right now, still locked up. During the crack era, they came down hard on black folks, while white powder cocaine users got slaps on the wrists. Thousands and thousands and thousands of brothers were locked up, while white people from the suburbs got a pass.
If you ask the question, why are some drugs legal and others illegal? Why are cigarettes and alcohol legal and pharmaceuticals in the middle and these other drugs, marijuana, other ones illegal? Some people sort of inherently assume, well, this must be because there was a thoughtful consideration of the relative risks of drugs. And, but then you think, well, that can't be because we know alcohol is more associated with violence than almost any illegal drugs. And cigarettes are more addictive than any of the illegal drugs. I mean, heroin addicts routinely say it's harder to quit cigarettes than it is to quit heroin. So it's not as if there was ever any kind of National Academy of Science that 100 years ago decided that these drugs, these ones had to be illegal and those ones legal. And it's not as if this is in the Bible or in the Code of Hammurabi. I mean, nobody was making legal distinctions among many of these drugs back until the 20th century, essentially. So if you ask how and why this distinction got made, what you realize when you look at the history is it has almost nothing to do with the relative risks of these drugs and almost everything to do with who used and who was perceived to use these drugs, right? So there was, back in the 1870s, when the majority of opiate consumers were middle-aged white women, throughout the country, using them for their aches and pains and for their, when the time of the month and menopause, and there was no aspirin, there was no penicillin, lots of diarrhea because of bad sanitation, and nothing stops you up like opiates. I mean, millions, many more, much higher percentage of the population back then used opiates than now, but nobody thought about criminalizing it because nobody wanted to put, auntie or grandma behind bars, right? But then when the Chinese start coming to the country in large numbers in the 1870s and 80s and, working on the railroads and working in the mines and working in factories and and then going back home at the end of the night to smoke up a little opium the way they did in the old country, the same way white people were having a couple of whiskeys in the evening. And that's when you got the first opium prohibition laws in Nevada, in California, in the 1870s and 80s, directed at the Chinese minorities. It was all about the fear with what would those Chinamen with their opium do to our precious women, addicting them and seducing them and turning them into sex slaves and all this sort of stuff. The first anti-cocaine laws were in the South in the early part of the 20th century, directed at black men working on the docks, and the fear, what would happen to those black men when they took that white powder up their black noses and forgot their proper place in society, going out. First time anybody ever said that, cops needed a 38 would not bring down a Negro crazed on cocaine. You needed a 45. I mean, the New York Times, the paper of record reporting this stuff as fact back in those days. That's when you got the first cocaine prohibition laws. The first marijuana prohibition laws were in the Midwest and the Southwest, directed at Mexican migrants, Mexican Americans, taking the good jobs from the good white people, going back home to their communities, smoking a little of that funny smoking, marijuana, reefer, cigarette. And once again, the fear, what would this minority do to our precious women and children? So, it's always been about that.
We are built for this network, for the strong, not the weak.